Okay, so yeah. So hello everyone. Welcome to the DNA Micro webinar. So I'm Lyle, and I'm here to share some tips and tricks about the developer tools, specifically in Chrome. So I will be using the Create React app as an example because it's just a simple page. So let's start with opening up the Chrome tools, the tools. So you can go to the upper right corner of the Chrome browser. Click this. You can click this menu right here. Then you can go to more tools and then open up DevTools right here. So you click this, and this would basically open up the entire DevTools. Okay. So I won't be tackling all of these tabs right here. So I'll be more focusing on some key points here between the elements, console, sources, and network. So the first one is the feature that the DevTools uses command menu, which is to open up the command menu. You can go to its settings right here, and then more tools again. Run command, which will open up just a tab, just a line. This feature is more likely same as the Visual Studio Code, where you just Control Shift P in Windows and just open up the command menu, and you can see all its commands. As you can see here. So this part you can control the lighting or the theme. So this is where you change your theme settings, change it to light or so sample is you've been using the shortcut. This control Shift P and then back to dark. Dark. Below that tools. Okay. And so the next one would be the file search, which Chrome has, because basically you can use the DevTools as your own IDE. So I'll be teaching you that later on. So to open up the file search, you open up the settings again, and then you click on Open File. And then here, as you can see, you can search all the files within your project or application. You can find them app.js. Yeah. So if you choose one of this, it will automatically go to the file. Okay. So then the first one here in the Elements tab. Uh, if you can see here in the Elements, this currently selected element, you can see this equals to dollar and a zero sign, which basically means that it is a variable that holds the current reference set. It holds a reference value to this specific tag that you selected. So when you try to access that, you can open up in the console. So that's open console. Let's see. To open up this console with another tab like this is you just press escape. That's the shortcut for it. So to clear up the console, you can just Control L. That's for Chrome. And wait. Oh, okay. So the dollar sign. Type in the dollar and the zero sign. So there you can, as you can see, we now have the value of the currently selected stored in the dollar zero, which is basically it works as an historical reference to the last DOM element that you selected. So it is actually from 0 to 4, which holds last 5 selected DOM element. Okay, so this can be very useful in some cases. So the next one would be you can actually view this as an object if you want to view it, if you want to see its attributes like the its events or all its attribute actually. So you could just enclose this in zero and enclose this in an object like that, and then press enter. So we'll just make it as an object, and as you can see, it will automatically show all its attributes under here, even its events. Yeah. So to clear this up, let's just L, show it up again. Zero, it shows the body right here. Okay. So the next one would be a selector for your elements, which basically is the same as the document, the query selector. Yeah. It's basically the same as this one, but this you can only use this in the Chrome DevTools. So you can do dollar, and then you can use the parentheses. Then here you can input a string, the class that you want to reference. So for example, we can use let's search it. Open up tab. We can use the app. So let's try and search out the app. So use the app. Okay. Okay. Not, not dollar. Or don't you see it? And then the app header. Sorry, app header. Header. Why won't you? Okay. What? Scale it up. Query selector. How won't it work though? That's showing right. App. App. Oh, okay. Okay, okay. Mm, so you can use it like this. Just point to the header. There. Okay. So that's basically same as the document select header. So yeah, that's one way of using this. So this is short. It can be very useful in some cases. So the next one would be for the elements tab is taking a screenshot of your currently selected element. So it would capture the current state of that tag and then download the image in your local file. So to take a screenshot, you just need to open up the command menu again, just Control Shift P, and then you have to do capture node screenshot. This one. So when you enter it, it's going to capture it. Open this up. So this one. So it captured this. Select currently selected. So it's small. So it's really capturing the current state of that element, that tag. So yeah. So that's one. And then next would be let's go this first. Next would be adding a breakpoints to your element. So you can actually add a breakpoint in your element, like what you do with in sources, like adding breakpoints here. If you have it, so I'll be explaining that later. So you can also do that in elements. You just have to right click on the element that you want to add a breakpoint in, and then you go to break on, and there's actually three options you can choose, and you can choose all of them. You can just alternate them. So there's a subtree modification, attribute modification, and the node removal. So So for the we will like to choose. We'll try to add an attribute. Let's try the node removal. So when you try to remove this, or when you delete this tag element, your application will basically pause at that moment. So let's try it out. Just press delete. Okay, okay. So start. Where is it? The breakpoint's also gone. Breakpoint on. Removal. Let's see if this would work. Let's see if this would work. The delete element. Huh. Why won't you break though? Oh, okay. Come on. So app header. Let's try to do this. Attribute and subtree. Try to delete that. Why would you break on that point? So let's try an attribute modification. Let's cover on this one. Let's select this. P, add a breakpoint. Break on node removal. Why won't you remove? Why won't it work? Damn it. So let's try on the break on attribute modification. So I actually have an on-click event here. Let's see if I still have it. On click on the P tag, yeah. Let's see if this will break it. Something's wrong with my dev tools. So there, yeah. So this would be on remove break on attribute modification. So it actually pauses in that instant as I clicked on that tag, and it changes its attribute because of this. I had a function that would add its style color and change it to red. So it basically just paused at that instant when you change the attribute. So that can be useful for for the UI guys or for the UI people who works on this, and basically sudden behaviors occur that you may not know about, or if the project is really big and you can't just easily trace its code. So you can use this breakpoint on elements. So let's continue. Let's remove the breakpoint. Remove breakpoint. Okay. Okay. Something like that. So the next one would be for the styles. Now here, for styling here on the right side, we can there's this button right here. So this toggle element state is very useful. Let's first start the application. Start this first. Okay. So this toggle element state actually is very useful when it comes to just states on hovering, visit, active, or focus, which is you actually have to trigger it first before you can view what's inside it. So DevTools provided it where you can just enable it and then you can see what's inside and try to edit and modify it. So let's try it out. So I have a hover on this part. Okay. So learn React. So, so this A tag has a on hover on its tag. So let's try. So so it enables up the hover like I'm always hovering on the learn React tab. So it enables it and it shows me all the other classes under its elements. or what it looks like. So you can start in editing some things here. Your color, you can do font size, I guess. Font size. Let's do 25 px. See? So when you remove the hover again, when you uncheck it, go back to its original form. When you hover it, you get that new changes that you applied. So try to check it again. So that's one way that you can edit your tag that you needed some hover events or other events in that matter. So the next would be um, the class tab right here, just right next to the hover. So this tab is actually very useful if you have a library already a styling library or like Bootstrap or MD. You can actually just see all its classes that is being used. So let's try this out. So I just control space to show me some recommendation. So I can see app, header, and app logo. So this is basically right here. So right here. So app header, app logo, and then what was the last one? App link. I think this is it. This one. So you can use it like you can reuse it by just selecting it. So let's apply let's apply some app color. So just added a, oh no, I need to refresh. Okay. So on the app link, currently in the app link, I want to try and add some app header on it so it disappears. Or this task, which is also being used by this rotating logo right here. So that's one way you can add. This is very useful and for designing your website, but you don't have to keep on searching on your file about the classes that you use. And there may be some classes that have been repeating, so you can just use those things. Okay, so now we can go to the consoles tab. Yeah. So for the console, we have some few things. We have some filters right here, which is very useful, especially when you have a lot of console logs in your application or just want to filter out some others consoles if you're debugging or just developing an application. So the first one would be the user messages, which is basically messages, and this would mean all of it. And user messages means the things that you programmatically put on, like the console log on your application. So I have so let's try this. Let's add a console. Okay. So as you can see right here, I have this is a log from React, and this would be a warning. So if I just want to filter out some things that I just want to focus on, so I could do errors only or warning, shows me all the warning, and then the info is needed. Okay, that's one way to filter out the error messages or any logs that you want. You can do it here, or you can do it here. You can just select multiple based on what you want to show. So you can just disable all the warnings, or and then enable just info and errors, or just do one of it or multiple. So you can select it. And then the next one would be so the next one would be this I right here. So this I right here is actually a create live expression. So this would be very useful when you want to view something in your current window, current values in your window. So let's try and access some values right here. So window that let's try outer outer height. So basically, it would keep on updating its value. Mm, oh, where's the? I can't click my tab. There. So currently, its value is its outer height is 789. When I try to run it back, it goes back to its original size. So this is very useful. Um, let's try another one. So the difference between just writing it here and then doing it here is this one won't update at all. So when you try to turn it back to small, so it won't update because it already executed that command, which is with this one it keeps on updating every time the value changes. So this will be very useful in some cases where you need to know the window, the outer width for the UIs, and some stuff that you want to store here. You can do any expression actually. So that's one thing. Let's clear that out. And that. And then, okay, so next would be the networks tab. Okay, now this is something. So let's clear it out and refresh. So on the networks tab, um, there's a few, we can do blocking of network URLs, which means that it won't call that URL if you add it to your block list. If you're trying to debug something or just seeing its behavior, what would happen if the request didn't go through. So let's try that out. You could just, let's try something here. Main chunk, let's try this icon. So just right click, so right click and then block request URL. So another tab would pop up and this would add it here. So when I refresh this, as you can see here in the tab, there is no more icon. So it has blocked it and we can see it here. I hope this fits here. So currently it's now blocked. So there's no previews, there's nothing here. So see, so it's blocked. It can be very useful in some cases where you just want to find out its excuse me, the output. So just to remove it, you can just unselect it if you want to remove it in for the meantime, or you can just remove it, delete it all. So let's close that. Now and then refresh. Now there's one very useful thing that I use every time where if you want to copy a JSON response. See if we had a JSON here. Okay, so this one here, and then response. No. Oh no, this JS. Let's try searching for JSON. Oh here, this one. So as you can see, there's a JSON file returned by this manifest.json. So I often use this feature for arrays of data, and I want to manipulate its data. So I just right click on the file, and then copy response, and then I just paste it anywhere I want or store it in a variable. Response, that's right. Response, and then there. Now you can manipulate it any way you want. Response, something you can see. Oh, sorry. It's response. Response. See? Or you can paste it on your VS Code and try to manipulate its data. Yeah. So that's one thing. And then the next one would be just filtering out in the upper here, upper tab. So you can filter out search. You can search it out like the JSON file. It filters out all of this JSON file that you found. The next one would be the all tab, which is basically the default one where it shows everything. Or you can just show the fetch or request. So we have no request here on this application. It doesn't use anything. This is just straight React app. And then JS files, CSS, image, media, fonts, document, WebSocket. So yeah, so refresh. Now we can go to the source tab, which is the most interesting part actually. This is where the part where you can use it as an IDE for your application. So for you to be able to use this as an IDE, if you prefer using this, which is a fast pace developing, so you can just click and drag your file or your folder. Let's go to tutorials, test app. So you just click and drag it to this area. This will ask for permission. So you just allow it, and then it will show it here. This is actually just pointing to your local files. So when you see this green icon right here, that means that it's good to go and it's online. So you can access and change things here. So let's try and change them. So let's update the app. Edit it in sources and then save. It might take some time and then there it updates automatically. It's basically just your ID. Now it is our ID. And then next one would be debugging your file, your project. So to debug your project, you can actually add breakpoints like the one I use in the element. So by adding breakpoints, you can just use here. You can click it here just to add breakpoints. It will automatically go to your breakpoints tab right here. Drop down. It's a list of all your breakpoints. So let's try it out. So let's add a button right now. Let's add refresh. Oh, I can edit it here. Let's try using this. Correct. So I just added a button right here, and it has a function that just console log triggered. So let's go back to awesome. Yeah. So we can do is we just add a breakpoint here. So when it triggers on click, it would stop your application from moving forward after this breakpoint. So you just pause on that state. So you unclick there. So that your application is paused. It stop it right here where you added the breakpoint. So and here you can see all its values, its variables, what it what it currently looks like. So let's explain it here. So we have the watch drop down here. So the watch drop down actually is one way to add some expressions or uh, variables here that you want to view. So let's try and add this event. I guess we have no value to add on. Let's try adding event. Oh, sorry. Event. Oh, event. You see the event? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So this gets all of the events. So let's try adding some value in it. So let's try editing it. Let's add a. Let's add a font. and adding left name is equals to string plus a string, and then after we rename it to something. We save that, and then we can just disable this breakpoint, or we can just remove it. To disable it, for the meantime, you go to breakpoints and then you uncheck it, and then you click resume script execution, or you can just press F8. Whoops, something. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is a string. Okay, so there. Save that and refresh. Okay, so our current breakpoint is not enabled, so we have to enable it. And then now we can trigger it again. Let's try it. Unclick, and then now we can see the value of my name. It's name variable here. So now we can watch its value. So let's try name. No name. There. So its current value now is name, which it just paused right here before reassigning it to something. So to proceed, we have four choices. We have four functionality that the debugger uses to move on to the next function or move out of a function. So the first one will be step over next function call, which will execute the next function and then move to the other function. The next one will be step into next function, which is basically just go into the next function that is being called, and then the next one would be this one, would be the step out of the current function, which is where I'm currently had here. It's in a handle click, so it would just go out of it and go to the next event. And then step, which means step by step, so we will go to the next. So we will be using the step or shortcut key F9. So that click that. Now it's still Lyle in the name. Now we press again to reassign it. Now it's something. So by adding just the breakpoint, you can see the flow of the data and the changes in your function or in your application. So that's a very useful thing. If you're not really into the debugging, which is might save you some time console logging all this stuff. So yeah. So the next one would be what happened to my phone? Okay, now where was I? So it's just debugging watch, and so we also have the call stack right here. So the call stack actually is the function invocation of your application. So it shows up all its function calls right here, as you can see. So we stop right here in the very last last function that we call, which is in app.js right here. So it's going to be very useful too. And then you can breakpoints can also be added to the fetch or request right here. Install some of this. So we can do you can just add some things here and there's specific URLs like Google, or you want to add a breakpoint to some request that you want and then see its value. You can add it right here. And then there's also event listeners, which is this is global event listeners, where you can do where's the mouse? So when you open up the mouse, like you can trigger a breakpoint just by clicking. So it doesn't matter where you click or when you click it, just as long as it's being clicked, it would trigger. So let's try it out. Let's first remove that. Let's start. So let's try it. So I don't have a breakpoint on my file, so it's just on the event listener. So I click, it breaks or it pauses to the current state. Yeah, so you can also do that. And then what else? I guess Oh, to remove your file, actually you just have to delete it. Oh, not really delete it, but remove folder from workspace. If you don't want to use it anymore. Yeah. There, and on the page, and then I guess that would be it. Some tricks. So yeah, there's also a tab where you can view your application in virtual environments like this one. So you can virtually view it as a phone or any platform you want. Just want to see its looks and feel. So if you try the Galaxy F5, it automatically fit to its page, and or we can do responsive and just manipulate it to 1080. 1080, so that will look sort of just drag. You can also flip it. Okay. Uh, I guess that's all for it for those. So that will be it. So thank you for watching, guys, and I hope you learned something at least. So that will be the end of it. Thank you.